Think about it. Think about it.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome to High School Basketball Weekly. I'm Rick Bua. I'll be filling in today for Tim Maury, and covering for me is my broadcast partner, John Franzoni. John, thanks for being here again this week to help us out on High School Basketball Weekly. And in case you've been hiding under a rock or you camped out in the woods for the last several days, the highlight of this show for us to cover is the fact that both the Hoosick Valley boys and the Hoosick Valley girls are the number one seeds in Division 5, will go to the Tsongas Center in Lowell on Saturday at 12 and at noon, and they will try to bring home state championships. But before we talk about the Hurricanes, John, and next week when you're back with Tim Maury, I will be away. I know Tim's going to want to focus very much on the Hoosick Valley games this weekend. So I'd like to just conclude the season by talking a little bit about the teams we cover very, very quickly. And I'm going to start with the girls and the Mount Greylock Mounties and Coach John Jacoby. And they did finish 5-15, John, but they have a very, very young team with some very talented players, the Drake sisters, and good things on the horizon because he's got some numbers down there.
Definitely. I mean, Greylock throughout the season showed that they had real quality in their younger players in their program. They were beset for that early part of the season. We saw them play a game at Drury where they were missing 4 or 5 starters, and you just can't be successful that way. But the key for that program is that there was young talent, not just in the 8th grader, but a sophomore, freshman. I mean, there's good players returning. They lost a few valuable seniors, but looks like the future is bright. And, you know, the key thing now for all of these teams, and we're going to talk about several of them right now that are not playing anymore, is that what do you do with that in the off season? What do you do to get better? Because just showing up on the Monday after Thanksgiving next season doesn't make you a better player. What makes you a better player is going out in the next 7-8 months and getting yourself stronger, improving your skills and coming back for your next season ready to be prepared to be a stronger contributor, kind of like we've seen with some of the successful teams. Like a good example of that is Emma Meswar on Hoosick, just the progress she's made from a sophomore role player last year to being a junior double-digit scorer is one of the main reasons why Hoosick Valley is in that final game for the girls program. So that's a good example for the players that to follow and to and develop their skills, get stronger. You know, we know Berkshire County is a very physical basketball league. You got to be strong to be successful. Absolutely. Playing in that league, and this is the time to do it.
Well, we're talking about Mount Greylock, John. We'll jump over to the boys just for a second. The boys finished 12-10 under Coach Tommy Verdell in his first season over there, taking over a program that Bob Thistle built and coached very well. And I'll tell you, I was very, very impressed. They went on a run very late in the season, got to 500 and even over 500. It ended quicker than they expected. But they had one senior that really helped them out, missed part of the season, but Des Cobb really ended up close to 19 points per game average, and he got some help from senior Judge Martin. Both of them had limited playing time last year, so good for them. And Noah Kane Smalls, the sophomore, had a great season for them. So, congratulations to both Mount Greylock teams, and I know we're looking forward to covering the Mounties next year. McCann Tech, we'll start with the girls. The Lady Hornets under Coach Justin Krantz in his first year building a girls program there. Of course, Coach Krantz, the principal at McCann Tech, also had the boys program years ago. And, he's still trying to build a program. Hannah Boysver had a nice season this year. He's got Aiden Champney coming back. I think he needs a couple of ball handlers. And even if he had some 9th graders or 10th graders next year, he's still young, and I think they'll be okay, John.
Yeah, McCann showed some good progress end of the year. Won a couple of games, really developed those young players. Aiden Champney was one that really stood out when we saw them play against Mount Everett and during the season. There's a lot of potential at McCann, and Coach Kratz is a veteran, experienced, successful coach who also has a very valuable role in that school as a principal. So he stepped in, did a great job with the program, and hopefully he's able to stick with it as the building principal and maintain his job as a coach as well, because he's well equipped to help these girls make progress and be improved for next year too. So again, it comes down to going out and working right now to be ready for November for the next season.
The McCann boys ended up with a very good overall record, 15-6. And it was kind of like the same old, John. And I have a great relationship with Coach Chris Bullitt. We chat periodically about his team. And one of the things that, I'd like to see as a McCann fan is I'd love to see them just push up a little bit or be moved by the MIA to a different league where the competition, even if it's just D5, is a little bit stronger. Maybe the league that Lee and Mount Greylock's in, and try to get them out of there because they handle the teams in their division pretty well. John J. Duggan Academy was the winner of that division this year, and they battled them on the road a little bit better than they did at home. And I know they can play with them for a period of time, and they showed what they could do against Drury, coming out and just storming their way to an early lead up at Drury. And I think when they put their minds together and they play as a team, they're going to do fine. And that's why I think McCann gets the seed that they do, John, is because of the MIAA points.
Sure, and I think we've seen that throughout the tournament right now. The teams that have played the more difficult, challenging schedule are the ones that have been more successful in the tournament. I think McCann has proven that they can play against those teams, especially with the way they played against Duggan, and most notably that game against Drury in the tournament. That was, I think, without exaggeration, the best game I saw all year. Two teams that really went after each other on both ends of the court. There was just, they were both throwing haymakers at each other throughout the game, and there was no backing down. And McCann proved that they belong at that level. And hopefully there'll be some changes in the league alignments that would allow them to play in a higher league, and it will make them better prepared, and they have some good young players coming back for next year too. So they're going to be very well equipped to compete in that higher league, and hopefully they'll be able to do that.
So that takes care of McCann and Mount Greylock, and best wishes to them, and looking forward to next December when we start covering them again. Before we continue on, John, I just want to touch on a couple teams that we never seem to talk about, and we hopefully have a little bit of time to do that today. The Monument Mountain boys. They were the cream of the crop in Berkshire County, pretty much in the Western Mass in Division 4, and even in the state. They got a number 3 seed, and they took down Nantucket by a score of 100-47, and all 5 of their starters scored in double figures, which they did often this year. But in the Elite 8, I was pretty shocked, and I guess I really should be because you don't know some of these Boston teams. But number 6, Burke, beat Monument Mountain 90-60 in Great Barrington. They came, number 6 beat the number 3 on their home floor by 30 points. So, the good news for Coach Randy Coles is that he's got 4 starters back next year, including Manny Brown. And he does graduate Khalil Carson, but I think they'll have a great program again next year.
Yeah, Randy Coles is an excellent coach. He's a longtime veteran, successful coach. He started at Mount Everett. He's been at Monument for a while. That team was impressive. We saw them play at Hoosick, and obviously they're the only team that's defeated the Hoosick boys this year. And they're just athletic. They come at you both defensively and offensively very aggressively. They have, like you said, 4 starters coming back next year. And certainly when you play those teams from Eastern Mass, one of the things as you get to the higher levels of the brackets is you just see teams that have a high level of athleticism. They're a little deeper than some of the teams we've seen that are in the lower end of the bracket. And you just don't know what you're going to get, especially as you move up into divisions. It seems like Division 5 is more equipped for Berkshire County teams to be successful in, but as you're going up to 3 and 4, although we had the 2 Pittsfield teams in Division 3, the boys teams make it to the Final 4. So definitely a successful year for Monument, as well as right across the board with 5 Berkshire County boys teams getting to the Elite 8.
Right. And so other than the Hoosick Valley boys and girls, the only other Berkshire County team as of the time this show is being recorded are the Taconic Thunder at 17-6, the number 4 seed in Division 3. They'll be facing Charlestown for the right to place Old Rochester. So good luck down there to Coach Heafy and his kids. Hopefully they can make it to Saturday, but time will tell. And let's move to the Drury Blue Devils, John. We'll start with the girls. They finished the season 10-13, and that doesn't really tell the tale because we talked about this team and we covered this team all year long, and they had a ton of close losses. And that's why they were seeded 15 with their sub-500 record in D5. And that's what I was talking about a few minutes ago with seeing McCann. There'd be no shame if the McCann boys were 9-11 or anything like that because it depends on who you play and the points. And the MIA tries their very best to get this thing straightened out. So the Drury girls did end up 10-13, 5-5 in the league. And they ended up dropping a 57-42 decision to Palmer, the number 6 seed, on the road. So Drury only had to travel to Lenox in that 32-30 win. And I told Coach Downey, I said, I think you can win that game, Coach. I know you can. And they did come away with it. But unfortunately, Charlotte Theriot, the outstanding sophomore from Palmer, knocked down 31 points and helped take down the Drury Blue Devils. But Drury only trailed 21-19, John, at the half. Got outscored 26-23, of course, in the second. Jacinta Felix finished her season leading with 12, and ninth graders Ashlyn and Delaney Hayden each had 9 and 8 respectively. Senior Brooke Bishop ended her nice career up there, adding 7 points. And Coach Downey, considering he had a couple of student athletes that he really counted on this year that weren't able to participate due to injuries, is going to have a nice team back next year with youth and experience all in one.
Right, they're losing 2 seniors in Brooke Bishop and Marley Brothers. They're returning a couple of juniors, especially Jacinta Felix and Isabella Moore, who was very valuable off the bench, as well as Jacinta, who obviously is their point guard and makes things go for Drury. And Nora Wood, a sophomore, had an excellent year for them as well. And then there was, I think it was 3 freshmen and 3 eighth graders that got some varsity time with the Haydens, with Delaney and Ashlyn Hayden, Elise Daly, as well as 8th graders Lily Moranti, Kira Vidal, and Kelslyn Shepard, or I'm sorry, Addison Shepard. So now the key thing is, again, we talked about Mount Greylock. How do those players, those young players, develop and get prepared for the rigors of playing varsity basketball? And I know they've had a very successful in North Adams 7th and 8th grade team with like those 3 8th graders played on it, with some other talented 7th and 8th grade players too that could be on the rise up to Drury as well. So this is a key, crucial time for Drury girls basketball. They've had some competitive, I guess, as we call them, games this year. Now, how do you teach yourself? How do you learn how to win? So, and be successful in those games, because, you know, it's like the old Herm Edwards quote, right? You play to win the game. So,
that's right. Yep.
So now it's you don't want your players to be content with playing close, you know, and we know there's a lot of lessons that are learned by playing, and it's all very important, but, you know, it's still, we're playing to be successful, and how do these players develop? And certainly the future is bright for Drury as long as those players develop and work hard and come to the next level. And I think from what we saw at the end of the season, they certainly are prepared to do that.
And hopefully a couple of those players that weren't able to participate this year will be ready for next year, and that's going to make Coach Downey's team stronger. So congratulations to Coach Ian Downey and his staff on a very, very good season and a nice late season run. The Drury boys in the Sweet 16 defeated number 11 Rockport 57-50. Jorge Bond led with 21. Sammy Mormon had 16. Miles Beauchamp and Dante Dillett each had 9. That was up at the Bucky Bullet Gym, and it was a great ball game. And unfortunately, the season came to an end in Northfield last Saturday, as the Devils fell to Pioneer Valley, the number 3 seed, 54-44. Now, John, this is a team that plays in the Hampshire South. They become I call them a rival, based upon the battles they've had down the cage. Coach Jack Reset and Coach Scotty Thayer have the utmost respect for one another, I really believe. I see the interaction between the two gentlemen from afar, and I think they very much respect each program, and he's got a really nice team down there. I think if they played 10 times, Drury wins 6. I really feel that way. And Drury hung right in there, John, in the first half. I was able to see that game live, and they led 26-24 at the half. And just kind of broke down a little bit. And the Panthers picked up their defensive pressure a little bit in the second half. Drury's lone senior, Dante Dillard, finished his career leading the way with 15 points. Sammy Mormon had 14. Miles Beauchamp had 9. And freshman point guard Jorge Bond, he was held to 2 points. But the name Jorge Bond's gotten around a little bit now. And they had somebody on him. He had a hard time getting away from them. He didn't force anything, got very few shots off, but he did a great job in breaking the pressure. He did a great job in playing defense and assisting, they just didn't have just quite enough that day. A lot of the 10-point differential were free throws towards the end, but I got to say, I think Dante Dillard, myself, played probably the best ball game he played in that ball game. Every time Drury or Pioneer started to pull away a little bit, and they'd go up by 3, 5, 6 points, even maybe 7 points, he'd come back with a hoop. Problem was Drury just couldn't get a stop on the other end, but he did everything he could, and a lot of it was penetration. He's not afraid to take the outside shot, but everything was short jumpers. And but I'll tell you what, people are already saying, watch out for Drury Blue Devils next year, John.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Reset did a great job this year. I don't think anybody would have expected them to be the number 6 seed in the state after, losing the talent they lost from their successful team the previous year, especially most notably with Louis Gelati, 1,000-point scorer graduating last year. But they were just resilient. They would grind out wins. They would use their half-court defense. They got, I think, you talk about Dante Dillard, Connor Hinkle, kind of similar players. Those players that just do all those little nitty-gritty, hustle, drive, attack the basket, set up Beauchamp and Bond for those open looks, and help Sam Moorman get the good looks inside as well. And they had a really strong, it developed into a really strong starting 5. And they're losing only one senior, but there's been, those 5 starters played a lot of minutes this year. So now the key thing will be how do they develop and improve. And, like you said, Bond's getting a lot of attention. He's had a good season. He's a freshman. He's got to take that next step to creating his own shot and developing him. From what I hear, he's a real hard worker, and he certainly made the big step from 8th grade to freshman year this year. And whenever Coach Reset's there and he's not going anywhere, the Blue Devils will be competitive. And like you said, you know what you're going to get from us, which is real hard-nosed, tough defense, and playing strong for 32 minutes, and getting everything they can out of their players. So now the key thing is some of those younger players in the program have to step up and be ready to play at a high level. And yeah, exactly. Drury's positioned to be successful going forward with that strong nucleus of those 4 starters returning.
Yep, they finished up at 15-8 on a team that was very, very young, and they've got a lot to look forward to in the future. So congratulations to Coach Reset and his very talented staff up there for a great job and a great season this year. Let's move on to Hoosick Valley. This little high school from the town of Cheshire, Massachusetts, has paid dividends, and they're teaching other people in the state of Massachusetts where the Berkshires are, and each one of those teams were seeded number 1 by the MAAA, and we understand why, because I have said many times this year, John, the 2 best D5 teams might be in our own backyard. And we're getting to witness that. So let's start with the girls quickly. The girls won their 12th consecutive game, defeating Hopedale 59-50. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the boys. I'm sorry. The girls defeated St. John Paul II 60-34 in a game that was played in Cheshire. The Hurricanes led 15-4, 33-13, and 50-28. We've got some clips of that ball game. And here they are. You can see right here. Abby Scalaba to Emma Meswar. There's a nice feed to LaSure. She puts it off the glass. Watch this move by Garabedian. Strong off the glass using her left hand. Emma Meswar getting a nice feed, putting it off the glass. Maren Capiello, knocking down a 3. Here's LaSure driving off the glass and in. And again, she right down, uses the glass, off the glass and in. Haley McNeese going to take a 3 from the wing and knock it down. And then a beautiful pass here from Reagan Shea to Haley McNeese. Watch this coming up after the miss. And that's what they do. That's what Coach Frederick's team's all about. And so they will meet number 4, West Boylston with a record of 20-3 on Saturday, March 16th at the Tsonga Center in Lowell. And John, in the St. John Paul game, first of all, Emma Meswar led the way, and she's been doing that a lot lately. And you said so many kind things about her and her improvement this year. She had 16. Taylor Garabedian had 13. Ashlyn LaSure had 12. Hannah Shea had 9. And then the big third quarters where they got over West Boylston the other night. And the same kids stepped up, but there's a lot of kids that are on that team that step up that may not score double figures.
Right. I mean, I think the thing that those highlights really illustrated pretty clearly are the things that Hoosick does very well. They obviously shoot the 3 well. All 7 players that get in the game on a regular basis for them will all shoot the 3. They all move the ball and are unselfish in the way they pass and move and are effective in their half-court offense as well as running in transition. And then they're all strong. We said that when we watched them play against Drury towards the end of the season. Just physically, you can see the difference in the way those players have developed. They're all seniors and juniors, and that's definitely a benefit for them. But they've put the time in to get stronger and better skilled, and they just play a brand of basketball that is the definition of being a good team. They make each other better. They look for the open player. They move the basketball. I hear Coach Frederick talk all the time about trying to get 32 minutes. And they've come as close to it as any team I've seen this year. They play tremendous, and when they unleash those runs on teams where they go on these 26-3, 28-2 runs, it's impressive because they do it on both ends of the court, and they can adjust their defense to go into different types of half court. They're always playing a tough half court matchup with a player defense, but they also play a variety of effective full court defenses that key their transition, and they rebound much bigger. They're not a big team, but they very rarely get out rebound. They're strong. All 5 players box out and go strong, and they're the definition of what a good team is because they have that big 3 scoring with LeSure, Meswar, and Garabedian all getting double digits coming down the stretch. But then you got Schlaba, Shea, and McNeese, 3 seniors, and Marin Capiello coming off the bench that all can fill it up. And then some Reagan Shea gets some minutes as a freshman. So this is a tough team. It's going to be a tough out, and they really played a very challenging team in Renaissance, beating a 23-0 team by 8. They were down at Renaissance had to lead at the half, and Huzik showed their veteran composure and leadership by coming right out and taking a lead in the third quarter and never giving it back. So they're well equipped to get another state title in Cheshire.
So best of luck to Coach Frederick and his staff at the girls as we hope very much they bring home another state title here back to Hoosick Valley High School. And that game again will be at the Tsonga Center in Lowell, Massachusetts at noontime, ladies and gentlemen. The time has just been announced within the last hour or so. Saturday, March 16th, against West Boylston. Again, West Boylston comes in 20-3, the number 2 seed, against the number 1 seed, the Hoosick Valley Hurricanes. So again, best of luck for the girls. We'll move over quickly, John, to the boys. And I'm sorry, so I started off with the boys last time, so I'll continue where I made my mistake. They won their 12th consecutive game, defeating Hopedale 59-58. Frank Field led with 18. Aiden Wicks had 13. Joey McGovern had 11. And we've got some clips of that ball game also from Cheshire. Here's Frank Field early in the ball game, knocking down a big 3, setting the tone. Great rebound there by Bradley, putting it back in. How strong he is.
Does right there. He's tough.
Aiden Wicks, 3 from the corner. The sensational 8th grader, Trevor Moynihan from the wing, knocking down a 3. Here's Wicks with a baseline jumper. Here's a steal by Joey McGovern. He's going to go up. He's left-handed, but he knows somebody's coming. He's going to put it off the glass with his right hand. And a couple of Frank Field real power moves here, right to the hoop. Nobody's going to go in and take a charge on Frank Field. And Frank goes right up again and puts it in off the glass. And the Hurricanes, they're really on a roll, John. Only 2 losses this year, both to the powerhouse Division IV team down at Monument Mountain. And they're going to be facing either number 2, New Mission from Hyde Park. They were 17-6.
Think about it.
Or they're going to be playing Pioneer Valley, and it's going to be because they're yet to play. And as soon as they find out, it's going to be one of those 2 teams. I'm thinking New Mission, even though I haven't seen them. I've seen Pioneer Valley. It's a team that Hoosick Valley played in the Hoop Ball Classic and beat by 14 points. It's a team Drury played twice this season, or 3 times. Beat them the first 2 times, lost unfortunately in the MIA, but it's going to be at 2 p.m. at the Tsonga Center in Lowell on Saturday. So a doubleheader. So if you're a Hoosick Valley Hurricane fan, or if you're a local basketball fan and you're kind of rooting for the home team a little bit, regardless of the rivalries, take a ride down to Route 2 and 495 north to Lowell and catch that ball game.
Well, it's nice to see that they're doing that they're letting the doubleheader play, because that's one thing I think they've been impressed with, that in the state tournament they let them play some doubleheaders and with the same team. The boys and girls from the same school are playing, and especially in this situation, because let's face it, it's expensive going to these games. So it's nice that they're allowing the teams to play back-to-back to help the families attend, and those that have players on both teams are just interests to go and support their teams. And it's not just for Hoosick, it's other teams as well. So I'm glad to see that they're using some common sense, because that wasn't always present back in the day with the MIA, but they're learning and improving, I hope, going forward. And Hoosick boys, I mean, those clips were just, again, so impressive. They had the two seniors and that both averaged 17 a game, McGovern and Field, to make them tough. But then you got, Moynihan's been just solid, especially in the tournament. He's leading them in scoring most of the time, 21 points in the last game. And just with he and Wicks coming off the bench, that is such a lethal combination coming in. They're like the old Vinnie Johnson microwave days in the NBA. The Pistons come in, and it's instant offense. But they also give them energy on defense. You're going to play for Coach Robinson. You're going to play both ends of the court, and you're going to be tough on defense to key the start of that offensive transition, or just a good half-court solid going to the basket. Frank Field, plays in a post position for him, but he's not he's a very versatile, aggressive player on offense. And Bradley's just a solid player inside, clean up the boards, playing great defense. And then they have some solid role players like Hakes and Tatro and all the players that come in and just do all the work for them that make their team successful. And
Right.
it's certainly both Hoosick teams are looking good to be competitive, have a chance to bring home 2 state titles on Saturday afternoon.
Right. So they didn't get there, John, because they beat Hopedale. They got there because they knocked off number 5 Maher Regional from Orange, 76-44. I need to mention that also. So in that ball game, Joey McGovern led with 29 points. Joey had 7 threes. And he's averaging, you're right, John, 17.6 points a game. He's kind of taken over the little friendly battle with his teammate Frank Field on points scored this season and points per game. Trevor Moynihan had 21. He had 3 threes. Frank had 9 with 7 rebounds and 4 assists, and Quinnell Bradley had 8. So we'll see. It would be great if they could play Pioneer Valley again. I think Coach Robinson knows that team a little bit more. He knows Jory's played them 3 times. He's seen them. He's played them. He's beaten them. So it's going to be a little easier for the coaching staff to wrestle a little bit easier on the bus drive down there.
Yeah. A little advantage from this. They won last night, and the other game's being played, I think, right now. So I'm sure if I know Coach Robinson, if he's not there, he's got somebody taking a look at him, getting some film or whatever of this game, so he can be prepared. His team can be prepared for Saturday. And one of the things they're so versatile with this team is they definitely have shown a versatility in the playoffs. When they played Munson, they slowed them down to a halt in the second half. And then in the state semifinals, they really sped teams up when they had to. So they can play a variety of different ways.
So what you're seeing there, everybody, is who's left. We've got Hoosick Valley, the boys at 21-2, looking to play either New Mission or Pioneer Valley. So it's the 1, 2, and 3 in Division 5 have made it this far. In Division 4, Bourne has knocked off Burke, the team that beat Monument Mountain. So it's 1 and 2 in Division 4 for boys. And boys Division 3, the Taconic Thunder at number 4 is still in it as they're still playing. They're playing Charlestown for the right to play Old Rochester.
And Taconic's been a powerhouse in that boys program the last 5-6 years.
For the girls, there you see it. The only 2 divisions we really care about right now would be 4 and 5. And of course, there's the Hoosick Valley Hurricanes, the number 1 seed in the state, facing the number 2 seed, West Boylston. And then in D4, another very powerful 20-3 South Hadley Tigers team, a team that split with the Hurricanes this year, are going to take on number 1 Cathedral at 17-5. So it's come down to this, John. It's the middle of the month, and it's crunch time. And if you're playing in March, you've had a pretty good season.
Yeah, it's not easy to get to this point in the season and be still playing. When your team's still playing, it's March 13th. You know you've had a special season. Obviously, Hoosick has done the job to get there, and best of luck to them on Saturday.
It's been a great season for you and me and for Tim Morey. And because this will be my last show, even though we will have our final show next week, I want to do a few thank yous. First of all, I'd like to thank the coordinator of Channel 1302, the educational access where the games are showed, and High School Basketball Weekly is aired, Joanne Hurlbut, for the time she spends in the editing room with me, getting clips of all the games that we cover. Joanne, thank you so much for all you do. The executive director of Northern Berkshire Community Television, Dave Fabiano, is fantastic. He does so much for us and for the whole community. Dave, thank you for all the technical support we get from you, for setting us up, doing the live games, and that means a lot. And our backbone is Peter Gentile. He's been our backbone for years and years, producing, directing, and the work that he does in the control room that you don't get to see, that we witness, is absolutely incredible. So thank you to Joanne, Dave, and Peter, and John. Thank you for joining us this year. You're so much fun to be with, and you add so much value to our team. So for John and I, thanks for watching, everybody. High School Basketball Weekly, the final show next week. So make sure you stay tuned. For me, see you next December. So long.